NightMare. Bunny. Round of 16. Group B. Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, live. 2023 GSL Season 3.
All right, this is it for Group B. NightMare versus Bunny. This is actually a rematch, by the way. Bunny did 2-0 NightMare. They were good games by Bunny. I think they were games that NightMare could have won, especially Game 2.
Yeah.
In that series. But let's see. I think NightMare's probably going to be feeling very warmed up now that he's, beaten stats. He already got the losses out versus Bunny out of the way. Bunny, by the way, has got to be hurting from that loss versus Cure.
Yeah, that might be a momentum changer right there. I mean,
Yeah.
Cure just, I don't want to use the word dumpster, but I'm going to use the word dumpster.
He got dumpster,
it
dude.
felt like he got dumpster. That was about as impeccable as a TVT as it gets.
He got owned. It was crazy.
They're going to make a low-light reel of Bunny's career, and it's just going to be that series, nothing else.
Low-light reel.
But he still looks really good. I love the builds that he did in TVP
Yeah.
in his first series against NightMare. If you guys missed that one, I absolutely recommend you go back and watch it. I mean, how often do we see Drilling Claws Widow Mines into a hidden expansion? It was so cool. But, some of those builds, they can catch you off guard, and it's hard to have a lot of builds like that facing somebody twice in a row in best of threes. And so NightMare, he got thrown off quite a bit that first series. If he can try and get a better read on the game in this one, he absolutely has what it takes to win.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bunny's definitely the favorite here, but an upset could happen. Let's get into this final best of three.
Macherino Esports, NightMare. Mystery Gaming, Bunny.
Bunny's putting an invisible DT in a headlock in that picture, if you look closely.
Some of the poses we have this season are fun. I was sad that Scarlet lost on day one, not just because it's Scarlet losing, but also she looked like she was doing like a karate chop almost. And one of the shots that we had, I was like, oh, I'm not going to see that again. I could have made so many more puns if she went to the round of 8.
Some NightMare support here in the audience. Another great sign.
My goodness. He arms crossed, nodding his head. He knows.
He knows.
He knows
They
how
came
good these signs
prepared.
are. He's raising the bar. If you wanted to come down to the studio, you better drop by the print shop before.
The sign meta.
Hire a
has
graphic
been upped.
designer. All right, so this game starting to pick up speed. Bunny going for a one-base tech build. Double gas in the second depot there on the wall to block any scout that might come in, but NightMare right now does seem he's playing no scout. On some of these new maps like Alcyone, actually, the tile set is so dark on the mini-map that it's hard for me sometimes to tell if an area of the map has been scouted or not, because, it just slightly gets revealed. But yeah, no probe scout coming in from NightMare. My old man eyes, they can't handle it.
Your old man eyes?
My old man eyes.
So, I think if NightMare has a little bit cleaner execution, he should be able to hang with Bunny.
Yeah, and I feel like even the execution wasn't that bad. He just got thrown off.
Game one, Bunny was just, that was, I think, for me, the most impressive game of the day.
Yeah.
Was seeing the Widow Mine drop into hidden base, where I'm like, well, you just really understand the Protos's imposition very, very well. But, game two, I thought NightMare had a real shot.
Ooh, really fast battery here from NightMare.
There is a Cyclone being made.
Yeah, just the one Cyclone. Not getting reactored out. And an Armory again. Is he going to do the same thing?
He could.
Very curious about the way this one is going to go.
Well, he might just think he can win the same way. I mean, one of the interesting things you can do, or one thing to find out is where pros see themselves and the other players. Because sometimes it's it's ambiguous to us, right? It's like, well, they both seem pretty good. It should be a good match. But then when you talk to the two of them, it's like, oh no, I'm way better than him, or I'm way worse than him.
Yeah.
Like if I win, it's a fluke. But I wonder if maybe Bunny perceives NightMare as a step down from him.
It's possible.
You know, and you know, Bunny is one of these guys. He gets deep enough in GSLs. He really does play for keeps. Like he wants to try to win the whole thing. And so maybe it's like, well, you know what? Do you have better build orders that you want to bring out later?
God, this Reaper is so good, by the way. Just parking it there. He knew it was unrevealed coming into the main base, and so he just comes in at a key timing where he knows Protoss is going to have their tech pumping. And it's Drilling Claws again.
Yeah, yeah. Now maybe he does this without hiding the base. Maybe just make a third there. I don't know.
Watch it like expands to Nightmare's Gold or something.
Yeah.
Builds a planetary fortress there. Something crazy. But I love this build. You know, we really don't see Drilling Claws that often in TVP, and now Bunny is doing it in 2 consecutive series.
But you know, maybe we will see it pretty often. I mean, when I look at it, it seems to be pretty strong. They get in there so quickly.
It's almost guaranteed damage with the first drop, and I often hesitate to call anything guaranteed damage in a game like StarCraft 2, but your reactions have to be so fast as Protoss to avoid that. I mean, the first burrow just hits so quickly, and usually it's at a very fragile time in your development as a Protoss player where we have, you know, 2 or 3 Stalkers in the main, 2 or 3 Stalkers and maybe a Sentry in the natural expansion. And those small groups of units, if they were together, yes, they could probably kill some of the Widow Mines, but they're never going to be together because you're trying to intercept and slow down a non-Drilling Claw drop. Although Blink is very fast this game. NightMare was chrono boosting that a ton, so maybe he's actually going to be able to intercept this. That was 5 Stalkers in the main base.
All right, well, this Medevac is going to come in. Stalkers are ready.
Is he going to see it, though?
I don't know. Okay, all 5 get the shot off. I thought for a second some in the back were not. But he gets 5 kills with the 2 shots from the Widow Mine here. So, like, can he do it again?
One more Widow Mine coming into the natural expansion. Observer getting chrono boosted out.
Pretty brazen in the approach.
He tried to put it into the assimilator in time to dodge the shop and just barely couldn't do it. And this is a much better defense from NightMare than in the previous game. Only 6 probes in total going down. The Observer was a lot faster coming out. The follow-up Roabay is also good. Actually, the Sentry is going to spot the Widow Mine. Oh, NightMare, please pay attention. No! Oh, wait, it's on cooldown. What am I talking about? I'm so dumb.
We got more
I'm clueless.
Well, he might actually do another drop. He's just going to keep pelting him with these Widow Mine drops. And it looks like he's going to set up for a push behind this. There was no third command center, right? I don't see one. Yeah.
It's going to be a 2-base push again, probably.
Yeah.
Bunny's just really powering up with all these barracks. Actually, that's at least 1 more barracks, I think, on the low ground. 2, in fact, so. Yeah, Bunny's looking to try and get some kind of damage done.
Oh, wow. Wrong direction.
Yeah, it's tough to make that read.
Well, they're just not going to be in a good position now. And keep in mind, this is all going to be hinged on the fact that a drop can, a push can come in post-drop.
Oh,
no!
my.
Oh, my God. Oh, and he gets 2 more and just picks them back up to drop somewhere else. What am I looking at over here in the middle of the map? Another big hit over there.
Oh, it's at 1 HP. It's at 1 HP. NightMare he very well might have thought that he killed that at 1H.
Well, you know, I don't know if that he's keeping track of this.
No.
Dude.
Oh, this recall could be, is that the Observer? I mean, the mines are going to hit again. That's 18 probes.
Yeah, I mean, that's so many kills. Now a drop in the main.
Oh
my
no.
God.
Make it
This is
stop.
This is like we're watching the StarCraft version of Hostile, the movie. Like, this is a gore film.
This is abuse.
This is rough.
29 probes killed. And you know what? If NightMare had those Stalkers in position, if he didn't go down to that 6 o'clock position to intercept the medevac, if he was able to catch it, I don't think this would have happened. Instead, it's just a snowball effect where we have almost 30 probes getting down. These Widow Mines have gotten more value than pretty much all Widow Mines in existence.
Oh, this is crazy. Yeah, that's it. GG. Whoa.
Was Reddit right?
Oh my God, the Redditors were right.
I can see the post right now.
Imagine we started the GSL with that game.
Imagine it's just this group. Imagine
how many of you guys would have been looking in the mirror being like, I am a prophet? Like,
you know, that hurts though for a NightMare. It hurts so bad because the initial defense from the first drop was much better, I think, here than in the first series. You know, I think he lost, what, 5 or 6 probes in total instead of, what was it, 8? I remember he's a little bit fuzzy, but the Observer's already out. The idle time was significantly less. And then he just fell apart from the follow-up drops. The Stalkers were grossly out of position. He thought he had the correct read on where the Widow Mines were going in the medevac, and he did not. And in fact, those Stalkers could not have been further away from helping. And then just a domino effect of Widowmine drops going from the natural to the third base to the main base.
I would do the same build again.
Yeah,
the
just
same.
do it.
I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, NightMare is not good at stopping this. Granted, I think this is one of the hardest things in the early game to deal with is Widowmine drops as a Protoss. Anyways, forget what I said. We're just going to start. Right into the L and into the game.
Is that what you were saying?
Hmm?
I missed that. The L?
No, the L and the
Maturino
GSL.
Esports NightMare.
I was visualizing myself losing a lot of probes to Widowmine drops on ladder after this. I was completely lost in thought. Just a sense of dread coming over me.
Yeah,
Mystery Gaming Bunny.
look, it's really hard to deal with the early game Widowmine drops. I mean, it is one of the harder things. Not all matchups are made evenly at certain points in time in the game. I know that people think that maybe they should be, but that's really not how you're going to get an interesting RTS. In some matchups, one person is naturally the aggressor or the one in control while the other one's defending, and a lot of times those roles switch as the game gets further along. But Protoss is very much on the receiving end of the Terran if they get a third base quickly.
Yeah, in the early game, but
yeah, and the Widowmine drop, look, like you have to get your workers away.
the thing is, if it's just a regular Widowmine drop, I feel like unless you're doing some crazy play as Terran to pull the Protoss' attention away and you succeed at the pro level, it very rarely gets much damage done. You know, usually each Widowmine will kill one probe, you're going to get idle time, and that's about it, right?
Yeah.
Against a normal Widowmine drop. But the fact that Bunny is going for Drilling Claws, and in fact the upgraded new patch Drilling Claws, where you know their survivability rate's going to be a little bit higher because they do unburrow more quickly now than they used to, it completely changes the dynamic. Because even if you see the Widowmine drop coming in, unless you, like, the window of response time that you have to have as a Protoss, and also the margin of error in terms of where your units are placed, becomes so much more narrow. Especially once those medevacs start getting, in addition to 2, 3 or 4 Widowmines in total garrison. Because then, as we saw in, I think, the first series, there was a Widowmine drop with 4 Widowmines. The probes were getting pulled all the way into the main base, and the medevac boosting is following them. And the Widowmines burrow so quickly that you're almost guaranteeing you're going to get more shots. Now, in that game, NightMare had some really phenomenal control in that specific situation to section off the probes that were being connected with the Widowmines as he was rallying back. And so the damage wasn't too substantial from that specific drop. But again, the margin of error just gets so much narrower. And you can just see the damage compound very quickly. The initial defense from NightMare in game number 1, it was on point. He didn't lose too many probes. Blink was done in a great amount of time. But then just being out of position with the Stalkers for the follow-up drops. And for Widowmine drops, if they get momentum and they are non-stop coming, you basically, it's almost impossible not to fall apart.
Yeah, it's tough. And I feel like that was such domination. I just don't see the incentive in even trying something different.
Maybe it's going to come in game 3 if we get there.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because you also have to consider that NightMare is going to be playing with that in the back of his mind every single game for the rest of this series, right? So he's going to be changing his playstyle just a little bit, and maybe he's a slightly less greedy because he's just trying to preempt and defend against a burrow Widowmine drop that might come. And in fact, this Hellion Scout is so big. We have 4-gate Blink coming in with a pretty significant probe cut right now.
Man, lock your doors, close your windows, man. You do not want to let this Hellion just get in like this. Gets a second kill. I mean, these are not even kills you're supposed to have factored in as a possibility, because you're supposed to have a cleaner play than this.
He's going to get the third one, too.
Yeah. and it will be killed off.
That is one of the most value Hellions I've ever seen.
Yeah, you never see that.
He scouted 4-gate Blink. He saw the Nexus in the natural expansion was not building probes when the Hellion came in, and he got 3 probes in total, which is just crazy. So NightMare is going for pretty much the same thing that he did on Solaris in the first series. He's going to go for this Blink pressure.
Are we going to get the bunker in the main? A lot of times that's one of the ways they set up to kind of just counter this entirely. You need about 3 tanks to stop this rush.
Yeah,
you need one in the natural, one kind of at the ramp, and one closer to your command center. And if they're all covered each other, you're fine. One of the ways to speed things up for the win for the Protoss is to snipe the first tank.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes you'll see players like Max or Hero, they will blink in with about a dozen stalkers once they get a dozen, and they will take fights that on paper aren't even very cost efficient. You know, they're bleeding out a lot of units, they take a ton of hull damage to kill 1 siege tank, and you might be scratching your head as to why. But the reason is, exactly as you put it, if those siege tanks, if they all go down, then suddenly the stalkers just reign supreme. So we'll see what NightMare is able to get done. Another siege tank is about to pop from that factory in a moment. Adepts at the natural trying to divert the attention of Bunny and successfully do so.
One tank's about to pop. Stim is halfway done, but you know, luckily in this case the Terran's on the right side of the map, so the add-on's not just out there. Here we go. There's that blink in.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that you know, with the SCVs pulled and everything else, can he actually get out in time? I guess he could pick up with the Warp Prism, but you know, that was a lot of stalkers killed.
It was a lot of stalkers killed. I think he's kind of threading the needle in terms of whether it's worth it or not, and it wasn't cost effective, but just as I said, that's both siege tanks dead, so now these stalkers can start to reap the rewards
they can
of
just
that dive.
Out-micro the Marines. And you can see, you know, that it's hard for the Marines to compete with the stalker range, but eventually they can push them up against the wall. Another tank's out. Stim's about to be done. The Marines become much more fearsome when Stim is available.
Yeah, I feel like Stim being done pretty much spells the end.
Oh, this is crazy. Is he really going to go for a drop right now? Isn't he, like, so vulnerable in his base?
And a 3rd command center. This
What?
is brave. I think he is just exceptionally confident
This
now
is
that he is
crazy.
Stim. But yeah, this is insane. And Raven is going to spot the Warp Prism. Meanwhile, NightMare is doing the same transition that he did in the previous series, going into 7-gate with charge in a late 3rd base. So he's trying to bait the Terran in a way to attack into him, but this drop, he is not going to be expecting this, Tasteless.
Wow. All right, he even leads with the medevac here. And, I mean, we see a recall is triggered. Oh. These are actually not...
Oh, no.
I don't know why it didn't occur to me. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, those stalkers are very, very badly damaged. And actually, oh, no, if only there was a term to capture the idea of what happens if one pylon powers everything, I could articulate it so much more easily.
Somewhere in Canada, Artosis is waking up in a cold sweat.
Artosis woke up after he peed the bed. Something happened out there.
NightMare is in a world of trouble right now, Tasteless. It's going to take a miracle for him to come back in this one. You hinge on getting a lot more damage done if you're going to play a 4-gate Blink style that is this aggressive. Now, I mean, Max when he does it, by the way, I love the Warp Prism powering up the Twilight Council to keep charge researching. That's very smart.
Very sexy.
But generally, you know, if you play the Max style of 4-gate Blink, you're constantly producing probes. You're taking a 3rd base. You're eventually taking a 4th base, and you're going for this mass gateway army. If you play the Hero style of Blink, you're doing what NightMare does, but you generally get a lot more damage done. And so NightMare right now, he's kind of in the middle. He's taking the 3rd base, but the probe count is low. He's taking a lot of damage, and the gateway army that he has is unbelievably weak to what Bunny has in store. I frankly do not see a way that he holds this push.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's going to have to, or this game is just going to end. The tanks are going to be falling. There's a 3rd one here in the back. He does fraction off a couple more units over here.
It's actually a really good engagement.
Yeah, I think he actually does hold.
What a jinx by this caster. This guy.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, I mean, that engagement coming in from NightMare was perfect. The siege tank line was not...
The tanks are very poorly positioned. You need to have the tanks in an unreachable location or far enough along that the Marines can actually capitalize on their ability to kite. And I think what happened was he had 2 tanks right out in the front, and, you know, you need at least, like, you know, 3 volleys, 4 volleys from the tank before, you know, they start to really do what they need to do.
I mean, genuinely, that was such a scary proposition, that Terran push coming into the natural expansion like that. I don't think Bunny was quite anticipating NightMare having so much, with the way that he overextended with the Marines. I mean, the connections coming in from the Zealots on the siege tank from that 3rd were so huge. And now NightMare can actually get on the offensive a little bit. Some SCVs going down here in the third base. He's going to try and retreat. If I'm not mistaken, no concussive shells. Yeah, it's just now researching, about halfway done. So a lot more of these Zealots are going to be able to escape from that third base. But still, the bio army here for Bunny, it's very strong.
It looks like he will be able to gun down this Warp Prism. It's just not quite fast enough. Now, with the fourth base close to finishing here for NightMare, will he be ready for the next attack? The army is a little bit bigger overall here for Bunny. And, I mean, with a lot more Marauders in here, it's a lot more punishing when you try to retreat.
Yeah, but I don't think we have any Ghosts on the table just yet. Production has just begun. These Templar, oh, that one, 90 energy. Storm is researched, right?
It is done, yeah.
Just missing an opportunity for a really big Storm. I mean, what are these Templar
Is it
doing?
done? What am I watching? I swear to God I saw the upgrade go on the tick earlier.
Those are two Templar with high energy that did not
There
Storm.
it is. Okay, so he actually has it. All right.
Imagine this with just 2 more Storms, though. It would have been a much better fight here for NightMare.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it seems like there's enough muscle here from the Terran. He can try to power through another fantastic Storm. That actually might be enough to drive him back. He dives down on the tank, but does that result in a bit of an overextension? There are still more reinforcements trickling in.
It's actually,
it does seem like NightMare's very fragmented, right? Like he's got units here, there, and everywhere, but not all of them are fighting. Another tank sieging up over here just so he can hit the units over on the stairs.
Yeah, and now there isn't much more splash damage left for NightMare, so these engagements are going to be really tough. That High Templar even with no energy whatsoever. And NightMare can't afford to warp in more Templar for time, so this bio is just going to reign supreme here at the fourth base, and I think Bunny is going to be going to the round of 8. I mean, this is looking really bad for NightMare.
The Bunsters got this. There's no way that I think NightMare can recover.
3 Zealots, 1 Stalker. No Templar warped in, so
yeah, there's
Storm
an
isn't
Immortal
even in the
somewhere.
cards.
Yeah. This Nexus is going to fall, and it's just a skip and a hop away from there to get to that natural.
Skipping a hop,
Skipping
I like
a
that
hop.
with Bunny. He's going to bunny hop his way into the round of 8 here.
Medevac's very low on energy, but still, seems like there's just enough with the kiting that the Protoss over time will be whittled down to nothing.
Yeah.
And from there, it's just going to be the Nexus and the probes falling.
Wow. What a game for Bunny. And he's to be going into the round of 8 again here.
Terrans win today.
Yeah, Bunny just looked really good, and Cure on top of the world. Not a bad showing there for NightMare, but I think in both series, the Burrow Widowmine with Drilling Claws was just so problematic. And then in neither of the games on Solaris was he really able to get the substantial damage done that he needed with the Blink Stalkers. So a pretty good showing for him, but going up against one of the best Terran players in the world in Bonnie, and he's not able to make it to the round of 8. So another top 12 performance in GSL for him. Really a solid year overall for NightMare, considering his past, but it's time for us to hear from this guy right now.
오늘 두 번째는 8강까지 이뤄냈어요. 소감 한번 들어보겠습니다.
Bunny, you've done it. You made it to the quarterfinals. You got out second place. Congratulations. Thank you. How do you feel? From the beginning today, my mouse wasn't working. I had a hard time focusing in the game. Regardless, I prepared very hard, and I'm very relieved that I made it in advance.
아쉬움들은 좀 뒤로한 채 이번에는 더 높은 곳에 올라가야 되잖아요. 그래서 이제 오프라인 모든 GSL에 대한 욕심이 굉장히 클 것 같은데요.
Since you didn't have a satisfying result by getting out first, excuse me, from the previous season, what is your goal for this season? I want to make it to the finals of this GSL. I'm trying to regain the form I had in my heyday, but we've had a recent patch, and we have all these new maps, so I need probably a little bit more time to acclimate to the changes. After the patch, what is your thought on Terran? So I don't feel like I have a deep understanding of the patch just yet, but I'm enjoying playing on the patch. I like some of the changes. Which part do you find fun to play? I try to do a different build on each of the new maps.
오늘은 이제 프로토스와 테란전을 치렀기 때문에 저그전이 없었는데 프로토스
Also, busting down these Zerg players has been very rewarding.
적극적으로 쓰는 소위 상대 멘탈을 부셔놓는 플레이가 인상 깊었는데 이재선 입장에선 이것도 좀 거의 정석에 가깝나요?
Today, it seemed like your play was-
업돼가지고 원래 2배였던 게 3배로 돼서
Everything seemed to really shut down your opponent,
제가
like psychologically.
토스 입장으로 해도 리플레이를 봐도 너무 빨리 박히더라고요. 반응을 해도 터지는 경우가 많아가지고 근데 이게 사실 토스가 진짜 잘 막아버리면 힘들긴 한데 방송 경기이기도 하고 처음 오랜만에 쓰는 빌드이기도 해서 좀 주력으로
If my opponent has an ability to
마지막 경기
defend my attacks early on,
취소하지 않았나요?
but then I think they have a chance. But the problem is it's so hard to hold these attacks, and so it's easy for them to crumble if I can just get in there and do my damage.
되고 나서 그 다음 텀이 좀 있어요. 근데 어차피 그 4차간 전멸 추적자 오는 걸 알고
They're talking about the
있었고
Ravens.
딱 필요 없을 것 같아가지고 그냥 취소했어요.
자, 이렇게 승일단에 좀 올라가게 됐는데요. 저 오늘도 많은 팬분들이 현장에 좀 찾아주셨습니다. 해외에서 오신 분들도 계시거든요. 자, 오늘 팬분들의
So we've got so many fans in the studio. Many fans from overseas. Any words to them?
너무 창피하고 다음에는 그런 경기력 없게 준비도 잘하고
I think I really embarrassed myself in that match against Kira. I looked pretty pitiful.
준비하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
I'm going to train really hard so that that doesn't happen again.
8강 경기에서 뵙겠습니다. 고맙습니다.
I'm going to bring a second mouse, a backup mouse for this as well. All right.
All right, well, Kira and Buddy, 2 Terrans advancing into the round of 8 from this group. I don't think this is really a surprise. Looking at this group coming into today, Kira and Bunny are 2 of the best Terran players in the world.
Yeah, I mean, especially with Maru gone, these are basically the 2 Terrans you want to follow.
Yeah, it's this guy,
the
these
tournament.
guys, Beyond and Gumiho left, right? So
there is some balance in the universe. When Maru falls out at first, then of course Kira and Bunny have to advance.
absolutely.
And look, honestly, NightMare and Stats, I think right now they are weaker Protosses.
Yeah, Stats in
like Hero, you know.
Stats in particular just really has been struggling in PvT since coming back, and you can really see that in his opening games against the TVP god Cure.
It was a bit of a novelty to even have him get this far. You know, I didn't know when we were going to have another Stats appearance, right? I mean, he's kind of from a different era, so it's always cool to see him back here. He does look good, but he's not able to close it out. Guys, we're going to be back with Group C on Tuesday, same time, same place. Dark, DRG, Estrella, and beyond.
Yeah, those tickets, I believe they go on sale tomorrow, if I remember correctly, 5:30 p.m. KST? I think so.
Yeah, that sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, so make sure you get those tickets. It's going to be a really fun one. I mean, that's just a fantastic group. Another foreign legend coming in Estrella. Foreign Hope going to try and make it to the round of 8. And, I mean, Dark, Beyond, DRG. From top to bottom, I love this group. Dark, one of my favorite players to watch, bar none. And DRG really kind of having a renaissance again. Back in this more mature version of StarCraft 2.
I'm excited for Estrella to play. He's really been sticking in Korea, grinding out GSLs for a long time. He's in good shape. He always has a good head on his shoulders when you talk to him.
I think the last time that I saw him on ladder, he was top 8 on the Korean server, which is pretty impressive. I mean, there are some players that, you know, they grind KR ladder, but they actually leave GM to try and hide their builds a little bit more, so you can't find them on the list. But yeah, Estrella is really far up there. So I'm looking forward to see what he brings to the table on Tuesday. I know he's been preparing a lot. He's going to have some creative builds. Should be fun to watch him play.
There's the information below at the bottom of the screen for how to get a ticket. You cannot get in without a ticket, so do buy them. They're very cheap. I think it's like $5 or something like that.
Something close to that.
But that's the system we're on now. I know that sometimes in previous GSLs you could show up. Now you have to get a ticket, so please do that. Yeah, I mean, great games today. Terrans win big today. But I don't think that Protosses are screwed yet, or we can't draw any conclusions just yet. I think it was kind of clear that this was one of those days that the favorites advanced.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're going to have 2 Terrans, a Protoss and a Zerg, as the first ones in a round of 8. I like that balance so far, and Group C and Group D should be a lot of fun, too. We have Estrella playing, Heroes playing in Group D.
Yeah.
Many more Protoss chances.
Yeah. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here for this just another day here at the GSL. We'll be back Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. KST. I want to close the show out, but the Cranecasters are still talking, so.
It's okay. We get to hang out a little bit more.
We can hang out a little bit more.
I don't mind it.
But, yeah, I mean, great games. Good to be back.
Yeah, the games are really fun today, and I want to see more of TVP on this patch with maybe opponents that are a little bit more evenly matched. I mean, Kira's going to dumpster pretty much anybody except Hero, I think.
We are finally able to close the show, guys. We'll see you Tuesday. Take care. Bye-bye.